Hey guys, just thought I'd make a quick video whilst I was in the middle of drawing this horse. I've not done a tutorial for quite a while. I've done a few time lapses, so I hope you've enjoyed them. If you've not seen them yet, have a quick look at them. I've done quite a few time lapse videos. I think the last one was a landscape. It was my picture of the barn or farmhouse with the windmill on it. So I think that was my last one, but I've always struggled, I think, really to draw blonde hair. If you have a look at this reference, this is the horse that I'm currently drawing, and the mane is blonde, it's almost white, but I think I've finally cracked a technique which will help you draw blonde hair. It's very similar to drawing any kind of hair really, but what we're looking for is we're gonna come in and we're gonna do the dark areas, because clearly you can't draw a blonde hair with a pencil. A pencil puts value down. So what you're going to try and do is you're going to try and find the areas in between the hairs, the dark areas, and then what we're going to do is we're going to brush the graphite around into the surrounding areas, and then we're going to take pieces out with the eraser. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm looking for these darker areas that are sort of the recesses in the hair, because even in blonde hair there are darker areas. You're never going to get a completely white hair, certainly not in a pencil drawing anyway. If you were to photocopy an image or transfer an image that was, let's say, colour, and it was of a blonde haired person, the hair's actually going to come out of tone. So I'm using this brush to brush in some of the value in the other areas. Like I say, I've put some graphite into the darker areas, the recesses of the hair, and then I'm going to come in with this mono eraser. It's a Tombow mono eraser. It's like one of the mechanical pencils, making sure I've got quite a neat edge. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start taking out some of these lighter areas, and like any drawing, particularly hair, we're going to build up the layers. So I'm taking out a few strands, making sure that they're not too regimented and too orderly. And this is going to give me the impression now of a blonde mane on this horse. So going over the drawing, it's fairly time consuming, not something that you're going to rush. Clearly you're not going to rush any of your drawings, but I just thought this would, whilst I was in the middle of this, I'm currently making a time lapse of the entire horse anyway, but when it gets to this part here, you're at least going to be aware of the technique that I'm starting to use. I'm just kind of trying to loosely follow the shape of the hair, taking out strands. We're not going to look for every individual strand. It's impossible to do that. It doesn't need to be exactly the same as the reference. But what you're going to do is you're going to give the illusion of a white or blonde. I'm guessing that this is probably white in the horse in real life. So taking some highlights out, coming back in with an HB pencil. It's important to use an HB pencil, and not maybe a 2H or a 4H or even an H or an F, because there's not an awful lot of graphite that gets laid down with the harder pencils, and you're going to struggle to move any of the graphite around. So I'm coming in again and I'm just taking out some of these darker areas, some of the hair that comes underneath, and getting a feel for hair that overlaps. Just following the basic flow of the hair, and then I can give that another brush. So what that's going to do, it's going to darken down the areas that I've already highlighted. It's going to move some of the graphite into areas that were previously covered, and then I've taken out with the eraser. And then what we can do, we can add another layer. So again, I can come in with the Tombow eraser, making sure that the end is clean from any graphite that's been picked up, and I'm simply just going to add another layer. And over time, this does give a good coverage and quite a realistic looking hair structure or mane or whatever it is that you're working on. A really good piece of kit, this Tombow eraser, very cheap, a couple of pounds. You get refills just like the mechanical pencils. So yeah, just build up the layers, finding the lightest areas, the parts that you want to pick out as being a highlight. Maybe it's a hair that's in front of another one. Maybe it's a hair that's catching the light slightly differently. But that's ultimately it. Patience as always, don't rush it. Don't be too unhappy with how it looks after the first 2 or 3 applications, because it never gets that realistic look until much further down the line. So taking these individual strands out, I might even take one out across the face here, or the darker hair of the horse, just to give it that realistic look, that the hair isn't, like we've said, regimented and all in line. But that's basically it. Continue adding graphite brushing, until you're happy with the finished look of the horse or the hair or the cat or whatever it is you might be drawing. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Speak to you soon.